All right, guys. Sorry it's been a while. There's just really not any news out there. Basketball 13-10. Really inconsistent up and down season. Still love me some Todd Golden. Like what I see from this team, the fight, the grit. Castleton's really come on and proved a lot of the haters wrong. I mean, he's a baller now. So really proud of him and what he's done for Florida. I do think there is potential there to continue to improve and finish the season strong. We're definitely on the outside looking in, but this team had every chance and should be in the tournament by the end of this season. They had a brutal schedule, but they lost some games they shouldn't have lost. So hopefully they can swing things back in their favor. As far as finishing out strong, they're going to have to win some games in the NCAA tournament, probably two, to get into the big dance. But the potential's still there. I mean, they've got some good wins. I absolutely think there's an opportunity to beat Alabama. They are beatable. Kentucky is better than their record. They've gotten better and better as the season's gone on. You know how Kentucky is. They're one and dones and reload every year. So they kind of finish the season strong as that team builds chemistry. And I do think that Florida has grown as a team as well. I really like, everybody hates on Marion Jones, and again, for valid reason. But man, he's matured a lot. He's a good decision maker, runs the point well. There's some more talented guys with on the dribble and drive into the basket. Sure, Trey Bonhand's lost a lot of minutes. Hopefully, he can find his groove and get back in there and contribute for the team. But I like what we got. Recruiting's kind of so-so, pretty average, pedestrian. He's bringing in a lot of international guys. He just got a commitment from a kid out of Australia. A lot of bigs from overseas. So we'll see how that plays out in the future. Baseball, top 7 team. Obviously they've got the arms. One thing I will say about the baseball team this year, apparently preseason practices, the batting, the hitting has been exceptional. The bats have been clicking. They're locked and loaded. That's something Florida's been lacking. We've always got the pitchers and the arms. We've always had a big power hitter. A couple guys, streaky, hitting some home runs. Judd Fabian, guys like that. LAGWAY, I think his name was, the last year, or Langford. But anyway, so this year, team looks like the real sound at the plate. So I think this team's going to make a run at Omaha. I think they're going to, make some noise. And make a deep run in the NCAA tournament. Let's get back to football. I really want to kind of talk more about the 24 class. We got Lagway, 5-star quarterback. Top 10 class right now. It's ranked 10th in the country. It's fallen a little bit, but it's still way early. That ranking doesn't matter. The fact that we're 10th this early is exceptional. That class should finish top 5 if they close well. We got to. The jury's still out on that, obviously, but top 15 class last year could have been a lot better, should have been a lot better. But still a good, solid class, good players. Love the whole class as a whole. It was just lacking those elite, top-tier talents, top 100 guys. Needed to have probably 3 more of those in that class, a couple more 5-stars. Our rivals are landing 5-stars. Tennessee's, LSU's. Florida's not. And that's what's killing Florida with competing with the big dogs and making a run towards a title in the next 2 to 3 years. You're not going to get there without several of those type of transcendent players on your roster. We're building a solid base. I love the foundation we're building. Hopefully that's going to bring more like Lagway. He is a generational quarterback, in my opinion. A guy like that can come in and do something like what Cam Newton did at Auburn with a little bit lesser talent. I think that kid alone could lift up the players around him and take Florida to a national title. As far as the title talk goes, I think 2025 is the soonest you're going to see any kind of national title run or a team talented enough at Florida to compete for a national title. I do believe in 24, though, we would have a shot to make the 12-team playoff. And again, probably finish that season in 24 as a top 15 team. That's where I'm kind of think we're trending at this point. I do think Florida's ceiling next year is 8-4, finished in 20 to 25, somewhere there at the end of the year. But I do think it's more likely that we see another 6-7 win season. I'm hoping for 8 wins. Like I said, the potential's there, but I'm going to go off of last year and what I see. I do love this team. It's just, again, I know you guys disagree and everyone wants to give Mertz a chance, and I will. I'm rooting for him. I hope he does well. I'm just not a believer in the Big Ten. Really sucked at Wisconsin in a lesser conference in the SEC. he had putrid numbers against terrible teams in that conference. Again, teams like Rutgers and even lesser teams than that. I think the only big game I remember reading was Illinois State or something like that, where he set the record or had like 5 touchdowns. But guys, it's Illinois State. That was the best game he ever had of his career, and after that, I mean, it was less than average from there on out. And I get it, the play calling and the offensive line. I mean, anybody can make every excuse in the world for the kid, and again, I know that was part of it. I do believe he will do better, and do I do believe he'll play a little better at Florida. I mean, heck, the guy's a 5th-year guy. I mean, it's like Stetson Bennett basically at Georgia. I mean, this kid should do well with this offense, with these running backs, this offensive line. He doesn't really have a ton of pressure on him. We don't need his feet. I do think that does limit the offense a little bit and does hurt some, but don't necessarily have to have him with the talented guys we got in the backfield. I look for Carroll, that new running back we picked up, to be a goal line type kid, good special teams player. I think you're going to see him really hit the ground running. As far as goal line packages, I think the kid is going to score a lot of touchdowns in a UF uniform and really surprise some people. 6'2", 220 pounds, much bigger than the other backs on the roster. A little something different. I think that's why the staff likes the kid so much. Let's see. So you got Miles Graham, edge guy, really needing some of those. We're obviously lacking on that. They're going to emphasize that in the next class. Linebacker is going to be a big need. They're probably going to take 3 linebackers in that class. I know they're recruiting a couple of kids. They've got Hayes, who's an elite kid, top 100 guy. Really like him. He's going to be an exceptional, probably a borderline 5-star by the time it's all said and done, as long as there's no bias towards the Gators, which there always seems to be some of that in the recruiting rankings. I don't know how close y'all follow it, but there definitely is a little bit of a Gator bias out there as far as ranking some of our recruits on certain websites. I'm not going to name names, but, and then you got Bowman, the running back, who is severely and unjustly underrated and underranked. He's a 94-star, 200-something ranked player, and you got Georgia, Miami. I got all these schools flying on helicopters, landing on that. He's going to be an elite back. Look for that kid to be more special than even Montrell and ETN. I think this kid is a 5-star talent. He is way underrated. You're probably going to see him come in and put up 1,000 yards. The kid is unbelievable. Go look him up. Look how this kid is built. Okay, Montrell and ETN doesn't look nowhere near as shredded or as ripped up as this kid in high school. Same thing with Montrell. Montrell is a chiseled dude. This kid looks like Montrell now as a high school player. I mean, he is a freak. Just a bowling ball, runs over people, can do it all. I mean, he's really just an all-around back. So I like Bowens to be the number 1 back in the class. I mean, obviously we're going over Gibson, another guy, elite guy, 5-star. So he's interested in Florida. And I may have dropped that name wrong. I'm not sure, but I'm ripping these off the top of my head. So anyway, it's still early. Honestly, I'm not even putting a board together. I'm not really throwing a lot of names out there. Recruiting, it's so watered down this time of year. Really, we'll start talking about actual players' names and really who we're in it for, who's interested in Florida, who we want, who we really need around the spring eval period during after spring practices. We'll get more in the spring portal too around May when that opens up. Late April, because I'm sure some talk will start spurring up around then during the spring. Quarterbacks that are, losing their battles or whatever. I think that 8-4 is much more attainable if Florida can get somebody else that's a proven quarterback or a good guy that had stats at another school that did well to come in and compete with Mertz. May the best man win. If it's Mertz, it's Mertz. That's fine. But at least we have somebody proven where there's not a big drop off behind him. Because right now, one injury to him, if he's out a couple games, I mean, Florida's done. There's nobody that's going to come in on that roster and beat anybody in the SEC. If you ask me, there's not. There's just not. And you can't just run the ball, even as talented as we are. We've seen it against Oregon State. That's one thing I would say left a lot to be desired is this run game is so good. But like I said, man, that's what y'all saw with Jack Miller. This is what I don't think a lot of people that watch the show and people that love Florida like I do understand. Okay, okay. What you saw in that Oregon State bowl game is what I believe you're going to see with Mertz, okay, at Florida. That's how that run game's going to look. pathetic and shut down. What do we have, like 4 yards rushing or something? I mean, ridiculous numbers because there was no threat at the quarterback position. The kid couldn't throw it. The kid couldn't run it. And the biggest thing is not even the throwing part. I mean, he can throw some, Jack Miller, a little bit. He does have enough arm. He can throw, but he's just immobile. That threat of Anthony running the ball is what made that rushing offense so good. And that and Torrance and having that offensive line. But heck, guys, I mean, we're replacing everybody. These guys, it's going to take them 2-3 games. The start of the season is going to be rough. I think you're going to see some false starts, some penalties, miscommunication, brand new, basically, offensive line. So you're going to have a lot of stuff to work out, a lot of bumps in the road to start the season. Brand new quarterback. This roster's been flipped. So, everybody talks about gelling and building that chemistry and communication and all that. Every year they talk about that's a freshman on the offensive line. Well, you got to look at it. These guys are like brand new, a lot of them. A lot of inexperienced guys, even Gooden from Kentucky. I love the kid. He's going to be a stud, I think. But you just got to realize we're going to take some lumps. And without that threat, I think that's why I see the floor being more likely with Mertz at quarterback, because I think you're going to see more of that unless Billy is able to develop his passing game. A lot of guys that know film and know football better than I do really pointed out a lot of the flaws there. And I know a lot of people want to say Anthony couldn't do this or couldn't do that. His biggest issue was throwing the ball 100 miles an hour, no touch on his passes. He did miss some guys open a few times, but I don't think it was so much missing guys as just misfiring the ball. But the kid's being drafted in the first round. It's so funny to me that people, do I think he's a first round pick? Absolutely not. But people want to blame, him and kind of say, oh, it was Anthony Richardson. The guy's going in the first round, guys, at NFL. Obviously, we could have done better with a first round pick and had a better offense. So I believe in Billy, and I believe he's smart enough to correct his mistakes. I think he'll get better, but I really hope he's not. I hope I'm right about that. I hope he's not stubborn enough to continue to stick with the same, passing concepts and all that. Because here's the thing that a lot of people think, oh, that guy was wide open. Was he? Was he already through that read, though, by the time he was open to the next guy? That's what people don't understand about football. On TV, you see guys running wide open. That doesn't necessarily mean the kid is open. There's a reason they have progressions. Once that progression, if he wasn't open in the slot that he is supposed to be open, he has to move on to the next guy, okay? And then to the next guy, to the next guy. So it doesn't necessarily mean that someone's open because you see him streaking down the field. The play could be completely shot at that point, and he might be on the opposite side of the field, or it might just look like he's open from the view you're looking at. So we don't know really what's going on out there, and I don't necessarily believe that guys were as open as a lot of people think. I know that Pearsall was open a lot of times, and I think that Mertz will find him this year. That was the one guy that was open quite a bit that Anthony just couldn't get the ball to him, just threw terrible passes over the middle. When they run that in route, that crosser, that was there all the time with Pearsall. I mean, he made diving catch after diving catch that should have been hit in stride and taken upfield. But a lot of those are just, get the 10 yards, get the 10 to 15 yard throws. So that's kind of my opinion. I got kind of long-winded there, but that's what I think with the whole quarterback situation. Really hope we get somebody else there to come in and play. But I like the rest of the roster. The rest of the roster to me is a top 15 team, in my opinion, as long as the coaches do their thing. And that just says if we don't have a good season, they let us down, because this roster is talented enough in order to finish as a top 15 team with the right quarterback. But again, I don't think that's going to be the case, but I'm really pulling for us and hope we have a good season. Back to 24 though, like I said, DJ LAGWAY, I'm going to put a video up in this clip. Here you're going to see in a minute, basically, where he is just ripping the ball, throwing out routes, throwing some curls, throwing some deep posts, a skinny. So you'll see some of that. And I mean, just touch on, you can see the difference between him. He's got big legs, strong base. The kid is going to be a stud. I mean, he moves in the pocket well, escapes pressure, can throw on the run off platform. He can make any throw on the field, and he's a threat with his legs. He's going to be everything we wanted Anthony Richardson to be, and then some. Got the ideal size, the power runner, finesse run. I mean, just everything. The kid's special. Um, but that strong base is going to be so good throwing with pressure or people, hanging from him while he's trying to throw. I mean, I just see the guy stay in the pocket. He's going to be able to take a hit and deliver the ball. And just so smooth, working through guys. And in this video clip here, you can see he's got two rushers. Um, just a touch on his passes, on the deep throws. I mean, just has a nice arc on the ball. Beautiful spiral. So y'all enjoy this one, man. I just want to put some kind of just up my take out there a little bit, and talk about these guys we got in the 24 class so far, where we're trending. If y'all got any questions, just let me know. Appreciate it. Go Gators. Y'all have a good day.